What's going on, Raider Nation? I've been a little late on this, but I wanted to talk about the drafts now that it's been over. The reason why it took so long was because of work and personal things. I'll have to keep that uh, disclosed. But I also had to do research, though. I didn't have the time to do all the research and look into these players. I wanted to make sure I got my information right, so I talk about it. So first of all, I will just go pick by pick by pick, and then of course I'll recap the draft as a whole. So here goes nothing. I actually have to skip the intro because this video would take too long. So without further ado, I'll start with the first round pick. In the first round, the Oakland Raiders selected Amari Cooper. That was the big hype pick. I know, kind of divided among fans. Some people wanted Leonard Williams. I wanted Kevin White because I thought he had better upside and range, but we got Amari Cooper and I was perfectly fine with it. It wasn't my favorite pick or my first priority pick, but it was better than Leonard Williams in my opinion because I think Leonard Williams is overrated. I think he may be viewed as a safe pick, but I don't think he's the player that everyone hypes him up to be. I think the media overhyped him. Cooper is a guy that Derek Carr needs. The Raiders needed a top wide receiver. People said it was a deep draft class and the Raiders could have waited later, but you want that surefire wide receiver, and you got to build it around Derek Carr. So I approve of this pick for the most part. I do think that White has better upside, but upside doesn't mean everything to some people. And I just like the range, and I like what I've seen in White. But we have Cooper. I'm fine with it. I don't think he's just a product of a system. And I know the last time we took an Alabama guy in the first round, it didn't work out very well. But I think this guy is someone I can trust. He's good, and when it comes to off the field, and he's a good, hard-working kid, so I trust him. With the second round pick, the Raiders selected Mario Edwards, defensive lineman. This is the pick I'm not really into. For a high second round pick, you expect a guy with first round talent to slip. I just don't see first round talent in Mario Edwards. I thought there might have been better guys available on the board. There's a lot of raw talent. He was a top guy out of high school, but that doesn't mean anything. Guy underachieved. People like straight-up talent. They think they can develop him. That's one thing, but he looks like a one-trick pony. Maybe a rotational defensive starter. Not rotational defensive lineman. He doesn't look like a starting material guy. If you're a high second-round pick, I expect the guy to be a starter right away. I just have those kind of expectations. And he just looks like a one-dimensional, maybe a run stopper, which would be good for a fourth-round pick, maybe a late third-round pick. But I'm not into this pick. It doesn't feel like he can contribute right away and immediately. So that's my take on Edwards. Of course, the last time I wasn't into a second-round pick, it was Derek Carr. I actually thought Carr was a quarterback with only an arm and nothing else, with a kind of a gimmicky offense. But Carr made progress, and I'll eat my crow, hopefully, and he thrives next year. In the third round, the Raiders selected Clive Walford, tight end. This guy could be a number one tight end right away. I think as a receiver, big arms. He's got a lot of traits that Al Davis would have been proud of. When I've seen the speed and the height, he's not the tallest tight end, but he has the speed and the reach and range that basically Al Davis would have loved. I think he would have fallen in love with this guy had he been drafting. So that's a pick that'd make him proud. He doesn't have the greatest blocking ability from what I'm reading, but if we need a top tight end, Michael Rivera is going to have to look out because his job's in danger. Walford, I think we could line him up as a wide receiver or wide out, the way he's used 6'4". He can be a deep threat, and if he can stretch the field and make others get wide open, I would all the way approve of it. So Walford, this is a pick I think that is fine. He can be a guy that can play right away, in my opinion. With the fourth round pick, the Raiders actually traded down, and they traded down a lot of slots. They picked up like a couple picks. I was hoping they were going to pick up like a draft pick for the next year, but they got a quantity of picks, better number for a team that's rebuilding. They kind of need it anyways. They took Feliciano, Jon Feliciano. I think he's just kind of raw, but I've always wanted an offensive lineman in every draft class. I've said it. Those who've known me know that I like offensive linemen, and I can always stock up on offensive linemen. You can never have enough. So Feliciano's a guard. This guy, I think he could be a good pass protector, but can he handle the NFL level of guys? I don't know. With Austin Howard probably moving to right tackle, there is a void at guard, and he could play right guard if he wins the job in competition. I know we gave our money to Hudson for center, and then of course at guard we have Gabe Jackson already. Hopefully he can win the job at right guard. I would approve of that all the way if that happens, but we'll see. He looks a little bit raw, and some people say his technique is lacking. Well, this is where the offensive line coach is going to have to come in and help. But we'll see. This is a pick that definitely fits the build of project, but it's the 4th round, so I'm a little more forgiving of that. At the 5th round pick, the Raiders selected Ben Heeney, a linebacker out of Kansas. This guy's an undersized linebacker from the inside. He looks like a special teamer. I don't know. Curtis Lofton should be the starting linebacker, so I don't see this guy starting right away. If he wins the job, he'd have to dominate, but they drafted a special teamer. I'm not sure how this was the best guy on their board, but he was a little bit slow, but it's the 5th round. I guess I'll be alright with it, but if he can develop and hopefully play on defense, then I'll approve. He looks like he's a productive guy. He has good awareness, but he doesn't have that kind of speed and the size that you want in an inside linebacker. It sounds like big tight ends will match up against him and all of that. So it's an okay pick. I'm just kind of in the middle, so-so on this Heeney pick. But if he contributes on special teams, I'll approve of it. After also trading down, the Raiders got another 5th round pick. There was 2 trade downs, I believe, by the Raiders this draft. They took Nieron Ball, a guy. This is an outside linebacker. I think he could be a special teamer. He's got speed, decent for an outside linebacker, but he should not be starting at linebacker. I think he'll be another special teamer to compete. Another project. Has kind of a good feel-good story that this guy's overcome a lot of injuries, but I don't know about for a 5th round pick. I would have preferred seeing this guy taken in the 7th, but this was a better guy on the Raiders board. I'm not sure why, but they like him on special teams, or I would at least. That's how I see him. Let me know what y'all think of him. I'm kind of meh on this pick as well, just like Heeney. In the 6th round, the Raiders took outside linebacker Max Valles. This is a pick that fits a lot of what Al Davis would like, a very athletic player. He doesn't have much football experience, but he's got all the physical tools for a linebacker. So that's something Al Davis would have liked. And as I've explained it before, Al Davis liked more than just a 40-yard dash. He was into all the other intangibles and other things and interesting tools that he had, and he fits all of that. Valles, to me, another special teamer. It could be an interesting project down the line, but I think this pick makes a lot of sense for the 6th round. You take a flyer on a guy like this, so I approve full-heartedly to take an athlete. Sometimes you don't take the best football player. We'll see how that one works out. Then once again, the Raiders got a 7th round pick from Tampa Bay when they traded down earlier. So they took Anthony Morris with this pick, a lineman. I don't know if I'm all impressed with this pick, but he could be a depth guy. Probably fight for a practice squad spot. And then knowing our offensive line, if some guys are terrible, he could be that last guy on the roster. Another project, nothing special. 7th round pick that most teams would kind of make. So I got no issues. I'm kind of in the middle of that on that guy. And then with another 7th round pick, which I believe this was their own, they took Anthony DeBose, a Florida wide receiver. This guy could be a good special teamer in terms of kick returning. I think he'll compete with T.J. Carey. He has a lot of measurables, something Al Davis would have liked. But I think he could be a special teamer right away if they like him on special teams for punts and kick returns. A kick returner is worth a 7th round pick. Why not? I don't mind the flyer taken on this one. Lastly, the Raiders took a cornerback named Dexter McDonald. Another guy for special teams. He's a speedy guy. I don't think he's going to be playing corner unless he dethrones T.J. Carey or someone else. But what I do know is that by passing on a cornerback, that's a vote of confidence in D.J. Hayden and waiting until the last pick. This guy just seems like another special teamer. Maybe he's a gunner. If you could find a gunner in the 7th round, I got no problem with that. So that's about all the picks. I thought this was kind of a so-so pick, but 7th round, I'll I'll forgive Reggie on this one. So in total, the Raiders were able to add up, get multiple picks. I think they had 10 draft picks overall. So for a team that has holes, they were able to trade down and get more, which is good. I don't think I'm wowed overall by this draft class as I see it. I see a bunch of special teamers in the late rounds. I don't see a guy that can help immediately that they took in the late spot, but it is what it is. I do think two guys I do like, Cooper and Walford. I think those two guys are going to help Derek Carr right away. That's how I see the theme of this draft is help Derek Carr. Of course, Reggie McKenzie took the best player on his board. I fully believe he's just going to trust his board from beginning to end. I think that Cooper obviously might have been the top guy on his board because the Raiders took him right away when they were on the clock. They didn't waste any time. So that really says a lot that they trusted Cooper and they trusted the other guys. So the people at the end, I think they were very Al Davis type of picks. A lot of measurables, few guys that just look like special teamers. Nothing big to me. But let me know what you guys think. If there's people you like or don't like. Of course, once again, I'm gonna have to cam down because it's the off season. So I am curious though. This is the 7th draft I've talked about, which marks pretty much 6 full years since being here and talking about the Raiders. Would you want me to recap the previous drafts that are gradable? Because I don't grade draft picks, as you've noticed, but I think now I can look back at some of these drafts and say, yeah, the Raiders did good or bad. Are you willing to me kind of evaluating, do a series on that in the future? Let me all know in the comments. Until then, though, just bug me on Twitter. My link is in the description. So let me know what you all think. I got video highlights of each pick also in the description. I'll see you guys later.